All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to Conflict Radio. Today is May 3rd, 2021, and today with us we've got Creepy Little Book joining us once again. His channel is an alternative education highlighting hidden histories, NWO theories, end-time prophecy, UFOs, and occult forces. He creates content presented without bias and researched with due deference. He doesn't resort to the formula of using the recycled images and the dramatic music that we've been conditioned to expect when discussing these subjects. His approach is very different, but he firmly believes that these types of issues can stand on their own when treated with impartiality. Pete from Creepy Little Book, how are you today?
Excellent, Michael, and thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the invite. It's always a good time talking with you. I look forward to a rousing discussion tonight regarding this topic.
Yeah, it's always, it's been great having you on. We've had a lot of people that have been absolutely thrilled and love the fact that we've had you on before, so we've got you on again, and hopefully we can continue to keep having you on. I'm going to quickly here, I'm going to minimize this picture here, and I'm going to bring up your channel, and I'm going to move it over onto the screen here so that everybody can see the great channel that you have and the work that you've done here just recently, just in the past week. You have done, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 10 videos here in the last week. Gates of Hell, Visions and Dreams, The Immortals, Strange Skies, the UFO Phenomenon, Dark Secrets, UFOs and the Occult, Ghosts of the Anunnaki, UFO, The World Isn't Ready, Elemental Spirits, The Loch Ness Monster Lives, The Secret Sayings of Jesus, Unimaginable Creatures of the Bible. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Your channel is just phenomenal here. I'm going to scroll through it and let everybody kind of take a look. Man, it's always awesome to have you on the show because,
Thank you.
Man, you are just so knowledgeable on so many topics, and it's so fun to chat with you that I can't resist but to have you on. So
I really appreciate it. I do have a good time talking about this kind of stuff, and it's great to run into other creators who share that passion. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now, and it's only recently that I've been talking with other YouTubers in the sphere. I really kind of just went at it alone for such a long time. There was instances of collaboration in the past, but it's been great to really branch out and talk to other people about this and meet new like-minded weirdos out there.
yeah, we are all weirdos. I think everybody in the chat's probably weirdos. We're all weirdos. We love this stuff. I don't know how we get away with talking about stuff that like we do all the time, but we're here and we're going to do it. I just want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat. We are live. I've got Manera Ray of Hope 23 is in here. Augie's in here. The Kilo 123 is in here. Antonio Scalisi is in here. Blue Chicken, how you doing? Paul Beska, Kingfish Kebab, Chuck Bam, Red Cap Goblin, Apex 3, the Dark Wolf Den Show. How you doing, Dark Wolf? Let's see if there's somebody here that I missed. DJ B2. Aaron, Archist Monster. I guess there I am there. I'm a proud weirdo, the Dark Wolf Den says. So, I wanted to get you on. Spartan O Negative, I see, is here. How you doing, Spartan? Hope you enjoy that shirt I sent you. Just so you know, guys, we do have a membership area of the channel. If you sign up for the membership area to help promote the show, Screening No says, I am here. If you, Juan, Hound of the Veinator says hello, how you doing? I guess everybody's chiming in, wants me to say hi. But, we do have a members area. If you sign up, you support the channel, you drop me a super chat, every so often, like Spartan does, I'm going to send you a free shirt because, hey, that's just, you take care of me, I'll take care of you. It's always great to have people supporting the show. Check out our members area. We do some members-only videos. Let's see, Mike Hitchcock is here. So, Pete, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this whole disclosure thing, and I don't know if you've noticed. I'm sure that you have. The amount of sightings and videos and all kinds of just UFO talk in general is really, really picking up pace, is it not?
It absolutely has. I mean, you figure there was that recent 60 Minutes interview, the article in the New Yorker. It's crossing over to the mainstream more and more these days, and I can only suspect that what we're dealing with is soft disclosure.
Yeah, I think so. I think The only question I have is are these really aliens from another planet, you think, or is it a breakaway civilization?
Oh, there's so many possibilities, and that's something that I really delved down into my channel quite a bit as we talk about the UFO phenomenon from night to night. Whether or not we're dealing with something that's extra dimensional, something that's already from this Earth, like ultra terrestrials, or something from another world, like the idea of an ET or an extraterrestrial biological entities. Could we be dealing with something even mechanical in nature? There's something new out there called the Berserker hypothesis. Well, I don't know how new it actually is. It probably goes back to the 70s or something like that. But the idea of sentient robotic life forms that would eventually overtake their creators and then have to reach out to the darkest resources of the universe to find the resources they need to continue to propagate their species. So it is likely if we encountered anything in space, it might be robotic in nature. And some say that about the Greys already, that we're talking about some kind of biomechanical synthetic life form in the form of a Zeta Reticulum Gray. So there's so much mythology around the lore of the UFO to delve into. It really is astounding.
But the one thing that always crosses my mind when you hear about the Greys is the mental telepathy that they use to communicate. I mean, if they were AIs, couldn't they just use Wi-Fi to communicate with each other? I mean, that would be the same as mental telepathy, right?
I think in a lot of ways, you're right. They could be using some kind of wireless communication, or even when it comes to their communication between human beings. Who knows if they're using some kind of extreme low frequency broadcast directly into the brain. And this significant technology would seem magical or psychic in nature to the untrained observer.
All right. So, want to give a shout out. I suppose we've got Ivan in here. Spartan O negative. He's still in here. Mike Hitchcock says the alien invasion will not come from above in space, but rather from within, as CERN opens the pit in time with the tribulation of which we are in now, and demons emerge to possess. What do you think of that comment?
That comment caught me too, so much so that I jotted down a note to myself on that one. I think that there's a very interesting prophecy that comes to us from traditionalist Catholicism. So not mainline Catholics, not Rome, not the Pope, but breakaway traditionalist Catholicism. This prophecy of something called the 3 days of darkness, where there will be 3 days on the earth in total darkness, where demons will be unleashed from the pit to do as they will. And in that time period, you're supposed to seal yourself in your home with blessed candles and pray the duration of the 3 days, not looking out the windows or you'll be struck dead. So the idea of opening a pit in hand with the idea of a tribulation or a great chastisement, again, Mike Hitchcock leads me to think of the 3 days of darkness. It is a fascinating aspect of prophecy. Mary Julie Jeheny, I believe, is one of the visionaries of this prophecy. Hildegard of Bingen back in the 7th century. She wrote many hymns as well that are still around in the church today. So there were influential people who were considered to be reliable, at least in their day, by the church powers that be, that foresaw this kind of prophecy. Whether or not this can be related to CERN in some way, I mean, we do talk about them opening the pit. The dance of Shiva with destruction is placed prominently outside of CERN. The very strange ritual video that's associated with CERN. So there's a lot of stuff going on out there. And the Gothard Tunnel opening, which connects CERN with the new tunnel they opened.
Yeah, I saw that, right? With their whole little
weird.
Ritual that they did opening that thing up, right? Is that
So
what you're
strange.
talking about?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Very bizarre stuff.
Yeah, it really is creepy. I had Scott Mitchell on, guys, and if you haven't heard that interview, go back and listen to it. He swears up and down that these UFOs are piloted by fallen demons and that, or the fallen angels, I guess. And this is, they've pretty much been hiding underneath the earth this entire time, waiting to pounce, and they're the ones with all this technology. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Religion has always been one of those things, I guess, where I do believe that there's truth in a lot of the old religious stories. Now, what do you think What do you think personally about religion and the fact that these aliens could really be fallen angels?
All right, so that's a fun one for me. So first, to break down quick with the religion, I think that there's a fun idea out there that comes from the Renaissance called the Prisca Theologia. And this is the belief that in all religion is a thread of truth. And if you pull this thread long enough and you go back far enough in time, you'll get to the moment of pure, true faith. That somewhere back in the days of antiquity, mankind met divinity somewhere. In some sacred moment, this happened. So I think that does touch every religion, and it's a fun thread to pull. Now, as far as these aliens being the beings of the Book of Enoch, the fallen angels known as the Watchers, who descended on Mount Hermon, 200 in number, and took a sacred pact amongst themselves to do this thing, to take human wives, to know in full well that what they were doing was no turning back from. And then they impart upon mankind these forbidden arts of heaven, metallurgy, the making of weapons, the making of cosmetics and tinctures, how to cut roots, and what would become apothecaries and alchemy. These kind of sacred arts that were not for man to know at this point in history. So yeah, there could be some correlation there. I think I draw a connection between them and the Anunnaki in several of the videos that I put up recently, because I think there could be. We are talking about beings that descend from the sky and then interact with the genetic line of humanity, for lack of a better term. One through direct intervention, where taking human wives is the product producing the Nephilim, and one in a more scientific, I guess, way, we presume, when we lean in the direction of Zacharias Sitchin's and the 12th planet, and the idea of Anunnaki coming from Nibiru and engineering a race to do their work here on this world.
Yeah, wow. That's thank you, Blue Chicken, for the super chat there. I just want to give a shout out to you. Do you think that they're going to attack us? Do you think that we're going to have an alien invasion happen? Oh, regardless who is flying these craft?
I don't think so. I would like to believe in a grand galactic federation that we heard about recently from there was an Israeli professor who was also a member of their space program for 30 plus years. And he came forward talking about a galactic federation out there. There's also the work of George Van Tassel, who kind of introduced the idea of the Ashtar Galactic Command, Intergalactic Space Cops. Now, I get into here's the thing with my channel. I get into a lot of the woo-woo territory, as people would put it. I watch some other channels that really deal with the hard information about UFOs and UAPs and government releases and, FOIA requests and getting into the hard facts of what's going on with the lights in the sky. For me, I'm more fascinated with the legends and mythology that have been built up around the lights in the sky. So I love to delve into the real far out stuff. And that's why I will sit around and entertain ideas like the Ashtar Galactic Command, intergalactic space cops out there who, for some reason or another, are assigned the duty to protect our planet from species that might seem intent on invading us or subjugating us. And there's maybe one of the reasons why we don't see an invasion occur. Either something prevents it from happening, or they have no intent to invade.
So there's a story out there that there's alien space cops protecting our planets from an invasion?
Oh yeah, the Ashtar Galactic Command, run by Commander Ashtar himself. He's one of the ascended masters of Theosophy. And Theosophy was the quasi-religious philosophical system cooked up by Madame Helena Petrovna Blavatsky in her work, The Secret Doctrine. So Theosophy gives us the idea of these great ascended masters, these people who have transcended the spiritual confines of mere humanity and have become something much more. And one of them would be this alien from Venus, Ashtar, who leads the intergalactic space cops, the Ashtar Galactic Command. There are millions of them from all over the galaxy. They are the defense arm of what is called the Great White Brotherhood of Light, which is also this etheric, transcendent, quasi-religious, New Age, theosophical idea. So, yeah, as Barry points out in the chat, silly comic book stuff. It is, in a lot of ways, silly comic book stuff. I'm not going to say that it's not. It's really woo-woo stuff. It is far out there. But I find it entertaining, and for the sake of having great conversations on my channel, we presume everything to be true until it's not. All right. So when it comes down to that idea, intergalactic space cops out there, they either prevent it or aliens have no intent to invade.
All right. So Chuck Bam says Blue Beam is coming, and then a little bit farther down, Foog HB, however you say it, says Blue Beam has been debunked. Could you tell everybody who, I guess, hello, Dr. Strangelove. We got a ton of people in here. Make sure y'all hit that like button, everybody. Could you tell us, I guess, for the people that don't know what Blue Beam is and what you think about it?
All right. So Project Blue Beam is an idea that there will be a fake, holographic, quasi, extreme low frequency, alien invasion perpetrated around the world by the powers that be. They will use reverse engineered alien technology to actually crash some craft around the world. It will look like an intergalactic war is going on between the forces of Earth and these holograms. So they'll crash some real ships, they'll show some ships in the sky, and then they will have the messiah of your particular region of the world show up in a holographic form, speaking to you in the language that you are familiar with, inside your head, nonetheless, using extreme low frequency. So it'll feel like you're being telepathically spoken to by God. Then this God will reveal that we've had religion wrong all along, and we must fall in line with this new religion and this new revelation, which will be a one-world religion. Also, the world will be united by the fact aliens have just invaded. So aliens will just have invaded. The messiahs will show up around the world for your particular religions to declare the fulfillment of prophecy, and bam, we have a whole new world here. Now, whether or not I think Blue Beam is a fun idea in the realm of crazy ideas out there that float around. Yeah, okay, holograms, maybe. Extreme low frequencies, maybe. But localized. I can't see it being perpetrated worldwide. I think you only need to pull something like this over one major city, and the world would be like watching, compelled at their televisions and computers and phone screens, waiting to see what happens next. So you really only need a hologram of one spaceship over one city for a couple of hours. And then you can introduce space aliens, and we can deal with the fallout after that. This was kind of repackaged as Project Firesign, too, around 2015.
Yeah, I think having it projected is a little bit of a reach. I don't think they would need to project anything. I think that they actually have the craft where they can do it with a real craft. I don't think it needs to be projected at all. If they were going to have a fake invasion to try to unite the world around all of their ideas and stuff, we're talking about the deep state, I suppose. They can use their own craft. Now, I had somebody on the show not too long ago that said that she was actually on a craft once, and she was witnessing satanic rituals being performed on the craft. What do you think of that idea and the I guess these alien creatures or a breakaway civilization or deep state, however you want to look at it, whatever it is, performing satanic rituals on their craft? If that's indeed the case, we're in trouble, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that we're dealing with something real high strangeness when we're talking about aliens engaged in satanic rituals. Now, if aliens come in two distinct flavors, let's say they come in two flavors. Let's say they come from outer space is flavor A, and flavor B is they come from somewhere else. If they come from somewhere else, that makes them even scarier. I can understand them coming from another moon rock, being named Gleepglorp, and saying, hey, I flew 50 light years to get here. That makes sense. But if we're talking about something that can invade our reality, something that is a non-human intelligence, that makes them extra scary. So let's say that these beings are a non-human intelligence, and they have the desire to masquerade as space aliens. What do they gain from that? Is it just to confuse their victims? That's where I kind of get a little undone by this. But there are people who claim if you invoke the name of Jesus, you scare the aliens away. So that's replete throughout people's encounters with these creatures as well.
Yeah. Well, that just goes to the theory that they're actually fallen angels, don't you think?
Exactly. You know, and it brings us right back around full circle to the idea of these fallen angels. You know, the Book of Enoch, the Watchers, and to the Gnostics of old, they were the Archons, nothing less than servants of Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge himself, a flawed creation who thought itself God. You know, it's really profound stuff, and it walks a thin line between the spiritual and the otherworldly, a very thin line.
Yeah, you know, it just really creeps me out, man. I think if they are fallen angels and they do want to take over humanity, so to speak. I mean, them pretending to be aliens and wiping out a few cities to get us under their control would be right up their alley, don't you think?
Yeah, but that would presume that these demons have a lot of leeway to wipe out cities. You know, and biblically, we don't see that kind of thing from demons. They're a nuisance. They're an influence. They have the ability to influence the senses. You know, there's a really great exorcist here on YouTube who I've been following for years, Chad Ripperger. And he does some great work on the nature of demons. So I recommend anybody who's interested in something really, really profoundly creepy to check into the work of Father Chad Ripperger and his explanations on the demonic, how these things can infiltrate the human senses, how their supernatural abilities can manipulate, you know, the light and way light interacts with our eye, or how sounds interfere with our ears. Like, this is a supernatural ability of the demons. And if that's the case, then we must also assume that these quote-unquote extraterrestrials masquerading demons would have the same abilities, you know. And is technology something that comes into play as well? Do supernatural beings, do celestial creatures who have their origins in God's divine creation have access to technology? Does an alien need a spaceship? Maybe. Does an angel need one? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying there, Mike, but we can't talk about that on our channel, unfortunately. Anything having to do with the jab, we're going to try to avoid. Let's see. There was a question here that somebody had asked, and I freaking lost it. Oh, here we go. Ivan Langley, what do you all believe about quantum reality? What do you think, creepy little book?
Well, I think reality is a funny thing. Reality is whatever exists when you stop believing in, you know, a thing. You know, so whatever you stop believing in and whatever's left over is reality. In a fun way. As far as quantum reality, I'm not familiar enough with the theory to give you any kind of succinct answer regarding that. It's something I definitely have to delve into.
Yeah, me too. I'm not really sure how any of that works, but you know, reality definitely is a funny thing. I mean, if the entire world's consciousness is starting to, let's just say, as we manifest our own reality, right? As a consciousness, a collective consciousness. If we more collectively start believing in UFOs, we will in fact then create them, will we not?
Well, like a thought form?
Yeah. I mean, we're manifested into being.
Yeah, you know, I wonder often that's a great question, and I think is almost, theological. Does our belief in divinity cause divinity to manifest? And one would wonder the same thing with these kind of things, these thought forms. Does Bigfoot real only because so many people believe in him? Do the UFOs manifest only because people believe they are real? You know, is it creating a thought form out of thin air? It's really.
Yeah, I mean, to think that, I mean, Jim Carrey said it best, right? He wrote a check for himself for $1 million and put it on his fridge, and eventually he wound up cashing it because he believes that he can manifest his own reality, and he believed he would become successful. Therefore, he did. You know, it's weird. Now, ML says any possibility that UFOs are from different dimensions or parallel universes. I would say, of course. I mean, there's always a possibility that this stuff is interdimensional or from a parallel universe. Don't you think, Pete?
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's like I mentioned earlier. These ultra-terrestrials is what I call them. They are essentially the fairies and elves, the gnomes, the leprechauns, all these elemental creatures of lore. You know, I think they are the ultra-terrestrials. They share Earth with us. They're from this planet, but they're not human. They're something else. And whether they are incorporeal or non-human intelligences, there's something to them. And I think that's related in some ways, not to get too far off track, but related in some ways to the missing people in national park phenomenon that David Paulides works so diligently on.
Yeah, Chuck Bam makes a good point here. He says the human mind is limited. A smart dog will never understand Shakespeare.
This is a very good point.
Yeah, right? That's the truth, right? You could be the smartest human on the planet, and you're still not going to get what's really going on, right?
I don't think anybody's really got an idea what's going on. You know, I used to wonder about grand cover-ups and whether or not the people in the know really know all that much about the UFO phenomenon. And the older I get and the more I study, the less I think anybody has a real grip on what's happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know, let's play hypothetical here. Let's just assume that disclosure happens. Let's just say, for instance, that a ship comes down and is hovering over New York City Central Park, or, you know, wherever, Moscow, Paris, you know, London. Let's just say a ship comes down over all of these cities. What's next? What comes after that?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll have to find something new to talk about on YouTube.
All right.
Yeah, I'd really be up the creek then. Everything changes. Everything changes radically. There's going to be people like me who I'm going to call everybody I know and say I was right.
Yeah.
I was right all this time. Look at me now. I was right. I will gloat shamelessly to everybody who didn't believe me that I was right. Now, provided the moon men are friendly and they don't have any ill intent, that's a great thing. But who knows what they'll show up and be like. Maybe they'll want to show up and want to spread their religion.
Yeah, right.
Maybe they'll want to do that at the tip of a ray gun. Who knows? Who has any idea what extraterrestrials might be like when they show up here and their agenda? Now, like I said, I think the fact that we don't have any negative interactions with extraterrestrials in the mass scale, is a testament to the idea that they have no intention to invade us. Or perhaps they intend to invade us surreptitiously. It is the source of so many boggling questions.
Yeah, do you think that religion goes away at that point?
No, I think religion adapts and evolves, as it always has done. You know, religion will adapt. Religion will evolve. The churches are not going anywhere. They will find a way to explain it away. You know, and look, let's say there are aliens from another world. Let's take into for account, for the sake of argument, we'll take into account the Christian worldview. So we have a planet, Earth, where God, the creator of the entire universe, puts two people in a garden. These two people have very simple rules to follow, but they decide to not follow these rules. These people are then expelled from said garden and then bear the burden of their sin, not only for themselves, but for their entire progeny, for every generation to come after them. All of humanity bears the burden of this original sin.
Yeah, I would imagine that new religions would form, right?
Right. But let's say there are space aliens out there. Let's say God, the creator of the universe, takes a garden on another planet and he puts two aliens in it and they never disobey. So let's say they're not fallen people like humans are. Maybe that's the reason they have high technology. Maybe that's the reason they're spacefaring, because they never fell from grace with God to begin with. Maybe the aliens come from a planet where they never ate the fruit of the tree.
Oh wow, that's an interesting way of looking at it, isn't it? And we're
Yeah.
stuck in this lousy reality because we ate the apple.
Maybe.
Aliens come from a planet where they didn't eat it. That's so interesting.
They didn't eat the apple, so they come from another reality, one that's not fallen, one where they have glorified bodies, one where they live for incredibly long lifespans, maybe eternally.
Yeah, I mean, if there is a God that created all of us and all of these planets, I mean, why would he stop there? Why would he not make hundreds and hundreds of planets, and give everybody the opportunity to, eat the fruit or not eat
Everybody
the
gets
fruit,
the same
right?
test. Everybody gets the apple test.
Yeah, and if you eat the apple, guess what? You're confined to your planet forever until you eventually kill yourself off.
Right?
Ah, man, that would just be interesting.
Space has got to be out there for a reason. I mean, if there is a reason that whoever created reality put all that out there.
So how do you think the Muslim community would react to space aliens? What would their, I mean, would they call it a deception?
I don't know. I don't presume to speak for an entire community that I'm not a member of, but I do think that there would be repercussions.
Yeah,
I think
they would actually attack the craft or things.
I don't know. I don't know if they would be viewed as jinn, who are part and parcel, an aspect of the Islamic faith. So they might be viewed as the jinn themselves, these kind of beings of smokeless fire. We talk about these creatures in the Quran. They are not human. They are not angels. They are something else. So perhaps that leaves wiggle room within the Muslim faith to explain these creatures.
You gotta wonder what I guess everybody's reaction would be, right? Everybody would have something to say, right? That'd be the talk of the day. Like everybody would be all fascinated with the aliens, and then the next thing you know, it's they'll focus on who says about it. Like what does Bill Gates say? What does Trump say? What does Biden say? What does the Muslims say and the Chinese say? That would be the thing.
That's unfortunately the kind of focus the media. Well, I mean, 24-hour news cycle is, I think, a detrimental thing. Personally, I think it was a little better when news was on 3 times a day rather than on a 24-hour nonstop cycle. But that's just a one man's opinion.
I wouldn't mind if it was 24 hours of actual news. Let's go back to the police chases, right? Streaming. Oh, there's a huge fire in Chicago. Let's watch it with helicopters for the next 3 hours. Let's actually watch some news happening instead of it's just constantly politics anymore. It's not news. I don't think politics is news. It's stupid.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's one promise I make to my viewers on my channel of all these shows, of all the topics I cover, of everything we delve into. The one thing I do assure you guys is you will never get current events or politics on my channel.
Yeah,
I don't
try to completely avoid it.
Yeah,
do you think
avoid it completely?
Do you think an alien, alien disclosure will become political?
I think everything's political.
Where it would just be divided. Everything would be divided half and half. Like half of the people believe that it's the deep state and half people believe it's really aliens. And
I think if they paraded an alien out in front of cameras during a press briefing, people still wouldn't believe it. People would be like, that's no alien, that's Hollywood makeup. There are people that still wouldn't believe it. If they took you outside and took you on a tour, if Good Morning America had the alien sitting on the couch, if they took you on a tour of an alien, the moon ship, people still wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's the truth, right? People would be like, it's blasphemy, right? Or it's just the way the devil's deceiving us.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the arguments.
I guess there's just no winning, right? They would literally have to come and maybe take take one of these news people on a tour of the galaxy to actually, believe that they're leaving the Earth. There'd be a ton of people that would say, it's fake, right?
They'd probably arrange that. I mean, that probably would be something they'd arrange, an actual interview from orbit on aboard the alien craft would go a long way to make people believe that this thing was actually happening.
In order for me to believe it, they'd have to do more than just orbit the Earth. I mean, we can orbit the Earth now, right? I mean, unless
I guess they could land on the moon and do the interview from there. You could see the Earth in the background floating.
You'd have to
floating in space.
Maybe go into orbit around Jupiter or something before I believe they actually. But according to some people, there's a secret space program where we're already out there doing all this stuff anyway.
You took the words right out of my mouth. As soon as you said Jupiter, that's the first thing I was thinking of, that we've got a spaceport out there already in Jupiter, that there is a secret space program, that there are reverse-engineered submarines out there floating around in space that may also be working in conjunction with the previous spoken of Ashtar Galactic Command Space Cops. It could be something to that.
Wow. So what do you think's coming in June? You think we're going to get anything?
I think we're going to get a heavily redacted document. I think you're going to get a lot of black lines.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of pages of black lines.
Well, I mean, what do you think of the possibility that these? Goodness, have you seen some of these videos coming out? These triangles flying around the
pyramids. Yeah, I did a video on the pyramid. That's the only. Now I must caveat this: if there is current UFO news, I will cover that from time to time. But if it's big and breaking, I will cover that. So that's the only current event stuff you will get from me.
I mean, that video is incredible.
Very creepy stuff. Massive craft.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible to watch this stuff. And one of them looks like Cloak Away. And I don't know if I've told you. I don't know if we covered this the last time we talked, but I actually was speaking to I live here in Huntsville, Alabama, and I was speaking to an Army officer who was doing time in, on a base in Nevada where they did the anti-aircraft batteries where they would set those up, and he actually was training on the thing, and he was supposed to, the training jets were flying by, and he was supposed to get the machine to lock onto the jet. And the machine actually locked on to a triangular craft that was completely invisible under the naked eye, but his machine locked into it and followed it around, and he told his superior about it, and they were like, "Oh, don't worry about that. You got to lock onto the jet. Just get off of that." So, and he was, I believe him. I believe that, they've known about these things for a long time. What are the possibilities that these are actually, like, say, China? And we've been leapfrogged technologically, and these are really, what we consider UFOs over our ships and bases are really an adversary of ours.
I doubt that. I think that we've been seeing them too long. It's been since 1947. You had the Mount Rainier sighting. You had the Roswell crash. You had the Aztec recovery. Then as time moves on, we see stuff like Rendlesham, where they actually come in contact with the craft. These things aren't from this world, or they aren't from this reality. They're meant to either punch holes through this reality and enter this world, or they come from somewhere else out in space and they're able to traverse incredible distances by bending and folding space or using some kind of anti-gravity engine that we cannot grasp. I think the powers that be, even if they have a couple of these machines, can't reverse engineer them any more than they already have. Now, maybe a lot of the technology we have these days comes from them. Cell phones are pretty amazing stuff. They're pretty amazing stuff. That we have the entire repository of human knowledge in a pocket computer.
Yeah.
I don't know when you grew up, but I'll tell you what. When I was a kid and a teenager, and I was in high school, I remember the teacher saying stuff like, "You're not going to have a calculator in your pocket when you're older, running around." Yeah, well, guess what? Joke's on you. I do have a calculator in my pocket.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember those days. It's a good thing we didn't have Facebook or I guess, God, the things that would have been posted about me and the memories that I'm glad are gone and forgotten that would pop up on my Facebook page, like, oh, you have a memory from 40 years ago when you were like 10 years old in high school. Here's a picture of dude giving you a wedgie or whatever.
Yeah, for real. Nobody needs that.
Right. I'm so glad all that stuff is gone and in the past. Now, Ralph Richardson says the fallen angel nonsense is stupid. All religions put some person or God above others. Jesus is no different. The West wouldn't know Jesus if he even could return, since they worship a white dude. What does that mean, you think?
It sounds like Ralph is an anti-theist or perhaps an atheist of some kind, which, I mean, I can understand that perspective. I was an atheist for a very long time myself. Do all religions put some person or God above others? Absolutely. I mean, that's the nature of divinity. Divinity is uplifted. Divinity is verified. Divinity is worshipped because it is divine. Is Jesus any different? No, Jesus is no different in that regard. If Jesus is regarded as God, then Jesus is worshipped as such by the people who regard him that way. I think of the earliest descriptions of Jesus. The earliest drawing of Jesus is actually to mock him. It was Jesus as a donkey-headed person crucified, and there was a man worshiping him. It was graffiti, and it was basically says, Apepelios worships his god, and it shows this Roman like worshiping the crucified donkey-headed man. And for a long time in the early days of Christianity, it was said that Christians worshipped a donkey head.
Yeah. DJ Beto says USOs are as interesting subject like UFOs. I don't think there's any difference. I think a UFO and a USO is obviously an undersea object, right? And under, one that can go underwater. I think a UFO can do anything. I don't think water or anything can. Do you agree that it's kind of the same
craft?
Yeah,
if they can withstand the pressure of space, they can obviously take the ocean.
Yeah, I agree. I think if they can go from planet to planet, water is just nothing. I think it's the same object.
It's just thicker air.
Yeah. Wow, there's a ton of people in here. Hit that like button, everybody. Ray Leg says beef and cheddar and the sauce.
Smash that like button. Get your little finger out, smash that like button there, give it a little wackaroo.
Make sure you're subscribed, guys. It looks like we've got a ton of people in here, Pete, from your channel. You're a pretty popular guy.
I really appreciate everybody who came out tonight. I was telling everybody all week, you got to come out, you got to hang out. This is a rare opportunity. I don't usually get to go live this early because I work nights.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions for Pete, just put it in the description box. Hit the chat. The chat box is moving really fast. There's a ton in here. So if you put it in caps, it'll be easier for me to find. So go ahead and ask your questions. Put it in caps, and we will ask Pete right away. What do you think? You want to open up the phone lines?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll take all kinds of weird questions.
Yeah, let me I can switch over here, and then I'll tell you guys the number, and if anybody wants to call in, you can actually call in and talk to Pete and ask your question on the air. Let me get this open here. Boo boo boo. See if anybody wants to take any calls. The number is 256-850-4513. These will be unscreened, open lines. If anybody wants to call in, go ahead and call in. That's 256-850-4513. And it'll go it'll go right to the air and right here, right now. And you guys can call in if you'd like to. So let me try to get back to there, and then I can pop this back up over here, and boom, now we are ready for calls. So anybody wants to call in.
That's pretty cool. It's like coast to coast AM around here. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to call in and join us on the show, you can do that. The number is right there. So there we go. Pete does a mean fast fire quiz, and Mike Hitchcock says, yes, what about the reptilians? Mike wants to talk about the reptilians.
You know what? I love the topic of the reptilians. I've done a couple videos about them on the channel. Even the best-selling T-shirt on my Teespring store is "Resist the Reptilians." So, the reptilian menace is one that I think goes back to a book called "The Prism of Lyra," that talks about the Orion Wars. And this is all channeled information, so take it for what it's worth. The idea is that back in the ancient cradle of civilization of the galaxies, Lyra, there was in this constellation humanoids. And these humanoids went to war with reptilians. And all these races of humanoids fought the reptilians for millions of years over the territories in the constellation Orion. This went on until a third faction comes along, and there was finally a stalemate in the war, and they worked out a peace treaty. But from this group of aliens, and like I said, somebody had mentioned earlier, comic book stuff. This is all kind of comic book stuff, you know. But it's interesting nonetheless. It is, as far as we know, it is the basis of all exopolitics. So definitely something to check out if you're interested in these crazy ideas. The Prism of Lyra, the Orion Wars. I did a short video about the Orion Wars on my channel. The Prism of Lyra is a book you can pick up. It's by Lissa Royale, and I always forget the name of the other author. But if Lissa Royale is one of the authors. Fun stuff.
Yeah, you know, the reptilians freak me out. And before I go any further with them, I did post the number in chat. If anybody didn't catch it, it's in the chat room. You can go ahead and call in. The Dark Wolf Den Show says, at Conflict Radio, question for Pete. How many alien species do you think exist?
Hundreds.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Hundreds in our galaxy.
Do you think that Gene Roddenberry kind of had an idea of what was going on? Like maybe he had an insight into, I mean, you know, you look at Star Trek and you think, how awesome is Star Trek, right? What a great idea. Do you think he had insight into how things really are?
Well, you know, there is this group called the Unarians. It's kind of a UFO religion. It's a loose. I use the term religion loosely, but the Unarians were led by a woman named Ruth Norman, and Ruth Norman taught that all artistic endeavors are channeled information. That we channel them from our ancestors, we channel them from our past selves, and in that regard, you know, she believed Gene Roddenberry was inspired to create Star Trek because of his past lives out in the galaxy as aliens.
So you don't think that they brought him up there and kind of showed him anything? You think he's just remembering a past life?
That's what Ruth Norman suggested, and the Unarians in their UFO religion. I think it's a fun concept, but I don't think that there was any kind of, hey, come here, Gene Roddenberry, we're going to show you some stuff, and you're going to make a TV show about it. I don't think that's how it went down. He was a cop when he rode into that restaurant on his motorcycle and like presented his script to the TV people or something like that.
Yeah, it's so interesting. You know, I love watching Star Trek and think, what a perfect way to live. You know, like if we, I mean, obviously they have their problems, you know, Khan and so forth. But you know, what a great reality that would be, right? Do you think we could manifest that into our future?
I think eventually, but remember, it took the destruction of everything in Star Trek to cause it to be rebuilt into the utopian future that they have presented us with. So I think, you know, people have to go through a lot of bad times before we see something like that created on the face of the earth.
Yeah, I forget who asked the question here. Oh, Dr. Strangelove says, question, did Jesus ever mention the reptilians?
Not that I recall.
Yeah, I don't think so either. You know, are they mentioned in the Bible at all?
The serpent, the dragon.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, not specifically any kind of reptilian race. The fact is, if we want to find the first literary reference for reptilians, for serpent men that we think of when you think of a reptilian, it goes back to Robert E. Howard, who created Conan the Barbarian. So you're only talking about the 1940s. There's really no serpent men that we think of. I mean, there's some Sumerian statues that kind of represent serpent men, and they're old, but there's no grand mythology of serpent men. There's of course the Brotherhood of the Snake. That's a supposed secret society, but you know, as far as serpent men, you got to look to Robert E. Howard, and of course there's the Naga of Hindu mythology. They're snake people too. Well,
you know, you got to look at, I guess, out west, the old Navajo. Don't they have, I mean, the Indians, they have reptilians in their old stories. I remember talking to somebody who was he was a Cherokee, but he told me that the Navajo, the Reptilians actually had a massive city out west, somewhere in Utah. I believe it was Canyonlands, and where when they were actually above ground, hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years ago, there was a massive city in Canyonlands, Utah, and that they had a massive war with the Indian people, and they were able to push them underground. They've been living underground ever since.
I have never heard that one before. That is brand new. Like,
Yeah.
I'm jotting that one down now. Canyonlands, Utah?
Yeah, Canyonlands, Utah, and if you look at it, there's a massive crater out there where some say this crater was caused by planetary lightning. It was a lightning bolt that actually went from Earth to Mars that created this canyon. But there's Indians that think that that they actually got a hold of the Ark of the Covenant, and that's what they used to destroy this reptilian city. The Knights Templar brought it over here from through Oak Island and everything else, and the Indians actually attacked the Knights Templar, stole the Ark of the Covenant from them, brought it to the reptilian city, snuck it in, and used it to blow up this massive Atlantis-type city in Canyonlands. And there's a massive crater out there that they say was created by planetary lightning. That was, I mean, if you think about it, a inner space lightning from Mars to Earth would create this massive explosion. And they have I guess they've done geological work on the site to say that all of the rock in that area has been massively electrified. They're saying it's planetary lightning, but the Indians are like, no, it was the Ark of the Covenant.
Wow. I'll have to check that out. That sounds really fascinating.
Yeah, I always thought that was such a great story. So GJ Beto says, my aunt told me about the Naga. My East Indian tribe are blood enemies of the Naga.
Oh, that's crazy.
And let's see here. Well, I guess I'm not getting too many questions here. So you don't think that there's reptilians out there all underground working with the deep state and
I think it makes for a great story. But personally, I think it's more likely that we have a case where you may have had. I mean, dinosaurs were here for a long time.
I think dinosaurs were the Earth's original creature, and that they were wiped out in order to make room for us.
Well, I mean, yeah. Let's look at it two ways. Let's say you are a space traveler and you came to Earth, 250 million years ago, and you park your spaceship in orbit and you pull out your telescope and you point it towards the ground, and what do you see? Monsters. There's monsters everywhere, and we're not joking when we say monsters. We're talking about monsters. Dinosaurs are monsters. They're monsters.
Yeah,
Monster planet. Like, no joke. There were Godzillas running around on the Earth. It's no joke. Like, there were monsters here. So we also have to assume that in all this time these monsters were roaming around, not one species of monster got smart enough to, like, build a fire or walk upright or learn to fish or, stack two rocks together. Who knows? Who knows if one species of dinosaur might have evolved into a bipedal, opposable-thumbed lizard man. Let's theorize something crazy here. Like, there's a lizard man that exists now. So does lizard man, living alongside the dinosaurs, develop a breakaway civilization of their own, develop the technology to build an ark for themselves to get off this planet before the comet hits that wipes them out? Do maybe they go somewhere like the another star system out in space and start over? And maybe they return and want their birthright, their home planet back. Maybe there's some kind of dichotomy there where, they come from this planet and they want to return to it. It makes for great mythology.
All right. Well, we've got some questions here. Let's see. I just wrote it down. ML says, any way you can get Matthew LaCrue on your show? I hope I said that right. I just wrote the name down. I will find out if he wants to come on or not. Christopher Dockery says, Pete, are the reptilian and Antarctica theories related?
I don't think so. I think Antarctica has a lot to do with Mars.
Why do you say that?
The Heffernan manuscript.
All right. So you don't think it's just a portal into the Hollow Earth? down there
No.
somewhere?
No, I mean, yeah, it could be something in the Hollow Earth, but I don't think the Hollow Earth has anything to do with reptilians. I think the Hollow Earth has to do with a kingdom called Agartha and a grand king of the Earth named Sanat Kumara who lives down there.
Well, that's the whole starseed theory, right?
Well, Starseed was Stan Romanek, and that guy is a piece of trash.
Oh, see, you don't believe the starseed thing at all?
I don't believe in Stan Romanek. I think he calls himself Starseed, and he's also a criminal and a piece of junk.
All right.
I've got no love for Stan Romanek.
Mike Hitchcock wants to know, do you believe we will have an asteroid impact?
I mean, we have asteroid impacts all the time, but they burn up in the atmosphere. If you're talking about something like Apophis, like a big asteroid impact in 2029, who knows? You know, who can really know? I think they said we're going to be safe for another 100 years from that particular asteroid. And, you know, I don't know. I think that if there was the danger of an impact, what can we really do about it? You know, what can we really do except, you know, try to move as many people as we can out of, and we could probably predict where it will land with pretty good accuracy.
Yeah,
you know, try to do a mass exodus of people away from where that occurs and hope for the best.
Well, that would be a great opportunity if the governments of the world are actually working with these, let's say, the alien creatures, and they've been in communication with them, you know, since the Mount Rainier thing or Roswell thing, and we've been talking to them for 70 years. You know, in order to introduce them to the planet, I guess as them being peaceful creatures, you know, they can always push that there's an asteroid on its way or a comet's on the way, and oh, what are we gonna do? Let's try to get rid of it, and then oh well, these aliens say that they're gonna save us.
Well, that's the whole thing with the aliens. I mean, they kind of the UFO phenomenon is weird. Because we go from lights in the sky to moon men. And then the moon men, we say, listen, these moon men, one day they're going to come out of the sky and they're going to fix all our problems. And that's what some people believe. So for a lot of people, it's a matter of faith and fear that's tied up into the UFO phenomenon. Yeah, we're afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of how things might turn out when these creatures show up. But at the same time, we hope for this kind of like great renaissance, a new beginning for our world. Once we're touched by this new civilization, once we're blessed by their technologies to perhaps cure disease, to end poverty and hunger on this world, who knows?
Yeah. So, what do you think about the pyramids? Do you think that they were built by aliens or no?
I think the pyramids are much older than we're led to believe. I think the pyramids were built by refugees from Atlantis.
Oh, you think so? I was listening to, I guess David Wilcock did a live stream yesterday where he actually was on his little live stream talking about how they 3D printed the blocks in place, and that's how the pyramid was built. Because and they could tell this because if they break apart the blocks, they find human hair actually inside the stone. And I was like, oh, but what a bunch of crap. You know, if that was happening, you know, there'd be, papers on it. People would be writing about it. And I Googled it. And sure enough, back in like the 80s, people were analyzing these blocks. And sure enough, there's human hair in them. I thought, wow, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. But apparently it's true. What do you think about that?
You know, there's so many crazy theories on how it was actually done. I think that Coral Castle and Leedskalnin and his ability to like move these incredible stone blocks by himself might be a key to understanding how the pyramids were constructed. And he claimed as much. So, you know, he was able to move all of Coral Castle by himself with this device of his own construction, saying that it was based upon the ancient technology of the pyramids. You know, who knows how they were done. Relentless Resentment says Thoth built the pyramids. Exactly. Thoth built the pyramids. Thoth was a refugee of Atlantis. Thoth, the Egyptian god of writing, wisdom, and magic, from Atlantis, comes to Kem, the ancient land of the hairy barbarian, and institutes civilization there and builds the pyramids on top of the halls of Amenti and also the Sphinx over top of his spaceship.
Yeah, David says that Wilcox is an idiot. You know, sometimes he'll put some stuff out there. Sometimes you're like, what the heck is he talking about? This doesn't make any sense. And then you Google it, and it's like, well, I guess that did happen. And just so everybody knows, the open lines number is 256-850-4513. That's the Skype number to get me here on Skype. If you want to just Skype in, it's just look for Conflict Radio and go ahead and just Skype right into the show. Otherwise, that's the Skype number that you can call to come onto the show and get a hold of us. So, somebody else was asking you a question, and it's going so fast it went up, and now I've lost it. And it was a good question, man. It was such a bummer. I missed that one there, but you guys go ahead and ask your questions. Put it in caps, so when I scroll up to try to find it again, it'll actually stick out a little bit to me, and I can be able to read it. I think it has something to do with the reptilians, but God, I just don't remember. Scott Quigg says hello. Tony Fradston is here. Barry's here. Christopher Dockery is here. Ray Legg is here. Hope everybody is having a great day. We've got Pete with us from Creepy Little Book, and it's definitely an interesting show. You know, so you don't think that there's going to be an alien invasion or even a fake alien invasion? I got to go back to that only because that's the subject in the show, and I want to talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
So you don't think that that's going to happen at all?
See, I'm not sure. You know, I just don't see it.
Yeah. All right, let's just say, for instance, that the aliens do come and start blowing up cities. What do we do?
Oh, we fight to the last man.
Do we?
We've got no choice.
Well,
we have no choice. Independence Day.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, there's ML. There's that question again. What's Pete's take on the Anunnaki? That's the one I wanted
the Anunnaki. Okay, so I did a show on the Anunnaki last week called The Ghosts of the Anunnaki, I titled it. The Anunnaki are regarded as these kind of psychopomps in Mesopotamian religion. They are like judges of the dead. It's not clear how many there are. Traditionally, it seems that there are 7. They are not individually named, but they were worshipped individually. They weren't worshipped as a group. They were intricately tied to the underworld, where Ershkigal ruled. My take on the Anunnaki, I think, is very similar to the idea of the Watchers in the Book of Enoch. You have these beings that come from somewhere else and intervene in human history. Now, how they do that, some say, like Sitchins, it's genetically, and they engineer a human race to do their bidding on this planet so they can mine gold. I don't know if it was like that or if it was, more directly like we think of the intervention of the Watchers, where they're creating all kinds of chimerical beasts as well. So you not only have a race of like hybrid humans, but you do have all these kind of hybrid creatures of legend. But Anunnaki interests me. It interests me enough that we did a great show about it the other night, ML. And I'd highly recommend if there's a show you're looking to start with after we were done here, check out that one, The Ghost of the Anunnaki.
Yeah, so do you think that they're coming? Well, I mean, Sitchin's been proven to be fraud, right?
Well, anybody in confirmed science is going to tell you Sitchins is a fraud.
Yeah.
Like real scientists are going to say Sitchins is a fraud.
Well, real scientists will say that giants never existed, and
Of course. So, I mean, it really depends. I think there's a matter of faith that goes along with all this stuff. Like, there's stuff I believe in because I want to believe in it. I believe in Atlantis because I want to believe in Atlantis. And I'll be the first person to tell you that. I believe in space aliens because I want to, not because I've ever seen one. Because I've seen compelling videos that lead me to believe there's something going on in the sky. Because I believe that these things going on in the sky might be related to creatures from another world. I'll be the first to admit that some of my biggest influences were In Search of and Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World and Sightings and Unsolved Mysteries and Alien Autopsy and Fact or Faked and all these other kind of programs growing up that would lead you down this strange path into the world of the esoteric and the unexplained. You know?
All right. Ivan wants to know, have you read the book Ringmakers of Saturn by Norm Bergman?
No, I have not. I have not.
All right. And just so everybody knows, the number, if you wanted to call in, is 256-850-4513. Go ahead and call in if you want. I guess we've got about 25 minutes left with you, Pete. And I guess we'll call it a day and get you scheduled to come back on another time. Because, man, people love it. Love having you on. But call in, guys, if you want to call in. And so what have you been researching lately?
Oh, it's something new every day, obviously, you know, because I got to have a new topic to come up with every night. But what I'm working on for tonight is extraordinary spiritual phenomenon. So once we wrap up here, I'm going to start digging into stuff like levitation, bilocation, religious ecstasy, you know, these kind of experiences people have had since the dawn of time in regard to the divine.
So you said religious ecstasy?
Yeah, state of religious ecstasy.
All right. Well, why don't you explain that to us a little bit? That sounds interesting.
This is, you know, essentially when someone becomes enraptured with the divine presence. You know, it is almost an ineffable type of thing to explain. But for the experiencer, it is nothing less than an encounter with divinity.
All right.
You know, so in that regard, there are different ways this manifests. I mean, in the lives of the saints, for instance, what's it called? Acta Sanctorum, the deeds of the saints. You know, these people like Assisi who experienced the stigmata, St. Francis of Assisi. He had the wounds of Christ had appeared on him. Another one was Padre Pio. You know, he also had those wounds as well.
Yeah. So,
but it's essentially an altered state of consciousness.
Okay. So, do you think that it's possible that aliens also have an altered state of consciousness? I mean, we obviously have things here. You know, we smoke marijuana. We do peyote. We have liquor. Are there any stories of alien drugs, or you know, maybe they come down here and get a little peyote and that freaks them out a little bit?
I don't know about that. I don't know about the aliens are coming down here and sniffing dandelions or something crazy.
Right? Like we have something here on Earth that that you can't get on their planet, you know, that they gotta have. They love that you know, snorting that gold dust or whatever it is that they want, right? I always find that fascinating to think about, you know, like we, you know, you get so many people that, oh, let's do some peyote. We can get into the spirit world and whatnot. You know, what do aliens do? Right? It's got to be something.
Yeah, they might have some way to alter their consciousness. Who knows if they've gone past that, you know?
Yeah. Deuce Zod says, creepy little bookster in the house.
Hello. How you doing, Deuce Zod? Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Kingfish Kebab says aliens like weed. You know, it's you know, you think about it and it sure is funny, you know. I guess you know, you never know, right? Like maybe, you know, the crashes at Roswell and stuff were really just, you know, alien drunk driving.
They could have been over the limit. Yeah. Over the limit and under the influence. And what happens? Roswell.
Yeah. Oh, I guess a bunch of people are saying, well, I guess I can't say that. I can't. Yeah, I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah,
I don't want to. I'm not gonna say that on the channel, guys.
You're a wise man.
Blue Chicken says human farts make aliens high, and then DJ says, well, that explains the probing. Well, these people in the chat room are going crazy. Well, that's all right. Hey, you know, so what kind of, what interests you the most? Is it the aliens? Is it the old archaeological stuff that's been covered up. What do you find? I mean, after doing this for so long, what still interests you?
I think it's the connections for me. It's that it's all interconnected at some point. Like I could sit there if I was allowed. If I was allowed, I could sit there with a bunch of newspaper clippings, some string, and some pushpins, and really put together a good crazy person wall. You know, but my wife won't let me put one of those up. That's crossing the line.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that's it. That's when it gets too weird. When I've got a push pins in the wall and I've got the old strings going on.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That's when it gets too crazy.
Do you do that much?
No, I do it with Post-it notes. I can take them down hastily, so no one sees.
You got them all kind of clinging to the monitor, right? Like all around.
Yeah, that's right.
Dr. Strangelove says, question, if UFOs fly so fast and Earth is round, the UFOs should be making a smoothie out of the Earth, right? I mean,
I don't know enough about how that works.
I guess
honestly,
theoretically, if a UFO was to spin around the Earth really, really fast and keep doing it, wouldn't it speed up our rotation?
Are we talking like Superman going back in time?
Yeah. Like remember in Superman, he went backwards.
Yeah, I don't know about that, Dr. Strangelove, but I'm of the opinion the Earth is hollow. I know there are many people who believe the Earth might be flat. I am not of that opinion. I think the Earth is hollow.
Yeah, well, I don't know about hollow, but I definitely think that there's a lot of caverns down there. That there's a lot under there that, I guess I had a starseed on, and she said that the core is like the sun, and the grass and everything that grows in the lakes and the world and everything is like would be upside down from us. You know what I mean? I guess maybe I'm not explaining it right.
Oh no, I know exactly what you mean. I actually
there's dinosaurs.
There's maps of the Hollow Earth out there.
Yeah, there's dinosaurs down there walking around, and they all live in harmony with the fairy people, and, and all these different alien races come back and forth, and they go in. The entrance is right there in Antarctica, and
That's right.
Boy,
it all makes sense to me. I mean, I don't know. That makes sense to me.
So you don't think it's flat?
No, it's not flat.
Yeah, I think that's got to be ridiculous, right?
It's ridiculous as far as I'm concerned. I think it's hollow.
Yeah, I mean they're saying that every satellite up there taking pictures, everything, it's all fake. It's all fake Hollywood trying to show us that the Earth is round when it's really flat. Now, why would I mean I hate to talk about flat Earth theory because it's so stupid, but why would NASA and the government and all these people, why would they do so much to try to fool us that the Earth was round when it was really flat? I mean, that's just stupid, right?
Yeah, some of this stuff makes no sense. It's like, where's the motive? If it's just to hide the truth of the Bible, and that's some people's really what it comes down to. It's like, it's just to hide the Bible. Like, a lot of this stuff is to hide the Bible. Like, oh, the giants, we gotta dump these giant skeletons in the ocean because it's the Bible, or we got to cover up this UFO crash because of the Bible. I don't think that's enough motivation for them to pull off some of these grand cover-ups.
Well, I mean, the Catholic Church does have a lot of pull, though, doesn't it? I mean, they've got so much money.
They did 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. I don't think they're getting as much money as they used to get. Especially since all the stuff that's come out with the, I guess I'll say Ultra Boy things.
Yeah, it's not good stuff there. It's not good stuff. I went to parochial school for 12 years, full disclosure. So I have been through their education system. I am haunted by all the angels and saints forever as long as I live.
Yeah, Chuck says the Earth is a flat wave until you observe it. Sapphire Elf says dinosaurids are simply the avian branch of ancient reptiles, i.e. birds. There are many other clades of ancient lizards from before the avian dinos. Let's see. I can't talk about that. All right. Well, we definitely have, there's definitely a lot of, I guess, listener base for the things that we're not allowed to discuss, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. Everybody wants to talk about the stuff that's taboo.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? I mean, I'd love to sit there and sit down and be one of these people that could rail about it and go crazy and say all the things I'd like to say, but that's not how it works.
Yeah. The truth is that, you put so much work into building a channel. You hear about, obviously, all of these channels get taken down for mentioning things that we can't mention. So you don't want to mention it because, but boy, it definitely is a shame that, I mean, you just simply can't talk about certain things. I mean, you just can't talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, especially, considering this is, this is supposed to be America.
Yeah, Chuck Bam says BitChute. Well, you know what, Chuck Bam, you'd probably be the only person to follow me over there if that's where we went. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, this is the platform that you want to be on if you want people to listen to what you're saying. I could go to another platform and talk all I want, but who's going to listen, right?
That's the rub.
Yeah. DJ says Pete is on BitChute. Are you on BitChute, Pete?
I've been on BitChute for like years. I signed up early. They just kind of back up everything that I post on YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's a nice backup, but like, it's not my primary place. It's more of like a repository for everything I've done.
Do you like that more than Rumble?
I'm not even on Rumble.
Yeah, I've been thinking about going over to Rumble. Or do you think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where to go. I was thinking about Rumble or BitChute or even, I guess there's another one too that Mike Adams does with the Health Ranger.
It's tough to know where to go these days. It's I know, and that's the thing. Oh man, it's so tough being a YouTuber. Everybody, it's so tough to know where to post your videos. But I mean, it is. You don't know where people are going to watch.
Yeah, that's definitely the truth. Well, I guess everybody, is there something you want to talk about, Pete?
I don't have anything in particular. I mean, I would just like to tell everybody, if you are so inclined, if you do like live streaming, as you obviously seem to enjoy, to definitely head over and check us out every night on the Creepy Little Book. We do every topic, from the esoteric to the extraterrestrial, from the spiritual to the supernatural, everything in between. We do it for about an hour, Monday through Friday, at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're a night person, if you're up late already, and you're saying, why isn't anybody live at 1 a.m., you're saying to yourself, don't worry, somebody is. And we're talking about weirdo stuff.
Yeah, I recommend everybody go to that search tab in YouTube and put Creepy Little Book in and get over there and subscribe, because it really is an interesting channel. It's a different topic every night. It's just fascinating. And I guess we're just going to go ahead and wrap it up and call it a day. What do you think, Pete?
Sounds good to me. It was a great pleasure talking to you. Always a good time.
Yeah, always fun. And the link to Creepy Little Book is also in the description box below. Go ahead and check it out. You guys can always make sure to check out our store, and you can always find us online, www.conflictradio.net. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. Hit that like button because it does help out the channel a lot. If you become a member, you can get some great stuff that I guess normal people that aren't members aren't preview to. You can also check out Conflict TV Official is another channel where we'll be doing some video stuff from there soon. Thanks a lot, everybody. I see all the great shows, and see you later, and much love and all that. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. Until next time, batten down the hatches and be safe.